ACC Network's coverage of women's basketball as the sun sets on the campus of Florida State University in Tallahassee. Georgia Tech is in town to try to beat the Seminoles for the second time this season. Both of these teams in the upper echelon of the standings in the ACC. Georgia Tech was finished as low as 9th. Instead, now Fortner's team, there they are at number 3. And Florida State in the 5th spot. Number the top 4 spots get the coveted double bye in the upcoming ACC tournament, which will be held in Greensboro. And we welcome you to Tallahassee. Pam Ward along with former Demon Deacon from Wake Forest, LaChina Robinson. And both of these teams feature players who have taken their games to a whole new level this year.
Yeah, these two teams that we're about to watch are anchored by two of the most improved players in the ACC, starting with Georgia Tech. The junior from Finland, Lotamai Lahtinen, is having a breakout season. She's 6th in the ACC of scoring, 7th in field goal percentage, 2nd in steals in the league, where she uses her physicality to turn offense into defense. She can also get to the rim off of the bounce and finish with contact when needed, but her improvement from the three-point line has been the biggest surprise, already surpassing last season's made field goals with increased efficiency, where she's 4th in ACC play from long range. And for Florida State, Courtney Weber has stepped up in the transition season for the Noles. She is their 2nd leading scorer in league play and brought consistency and efficiency. She is tough on the drive and can take a bump when needed, a willing passer. She has shot 50% or better in more than half of her games. Her minutes have doubled from last season, but her scoring has tripled, with field goal percentages up across the board. Weber has been that player that Brooke Wyckoff can depend on in the clutch.
Weber, along with Bianca Jackson and Morgan Jones, the 3 top scorers, very balanced scoring for these teams. And here we are about to get underway. These two teams met on January the 24th in Atlanta. And Georgia Tech came away with the win, and Kiara Fletcher with the ball in her hands first. Gets it over to Loyal McQueen, a freshman who's gotten a lot of playing time this year. Lautman with the miss. Hermosa, who has been really good as a rebounder, but they lose the ball to Morgan Jones, who looks for some help from behind, and a very quick shot, a very good result for Jackson. Let's take a look at the lineups for the Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets. Nell Fortner, their head coach. Lorella Kubai is one of the best rebounders, averaging a double-double, and she anchors a very good front line. We talked about the freshman McQueen and Kiara Fletcher. Boy, Coach Fortner would like for Kiara to get off to a faster start, and Fortner's done a terrific job for the 2nd straight year, her team leading the league in scoring defense.
One thing to note early, Georgia Tech already has 2 offensive rebounds to start this game. The reason why Georgia Tech won their first matchup, they out-rebounded the Noles by 22 on the glass, and Brooke Wyckoff made it clear that cannot happen tonight.
She said to take a look at the rebounding, also wants to keep Georgia Tech off the free throw line, and another turnover. Here's Jackson, the transfer from South Carolina. Among the starting 5, Jackson, Weber, and Jones all scoring within about a half a point of each other. And Sammy Puisis used to be known just for hitting threes, but has become effective in other areas of her game as Florida State likes to play a 4-guard lineup. Brooke Wyckoff, the interim head coach. She's in her 10th year on the staff, taking over for Sue Semrau, who is taking the season to attend to her mother back home in Seattle. And we all remember Brooke from her playing days at Florida State and a 9-year pro career. And boy, what a challenging first year, coming in not just during the pandemic, but all sorts of other issues to deal with. Florida State has had to reschedule 15 different times because of games being called off or postponed.
Yeah, they really didn't have a non-conference. They had several players that are injured. They've played games this season with only 8 or 9 available. I mean, they have had challenges that you couldn't even imagine. But if the NCAA tournament started today, Charlie Cream said this team is getting in, and that's a credit to what Brooke Wyckoff has done in her time taking over as interim head coach.
Yeah, what did she tell us? They had 40 practices at one point and only played 1 game during that time.
Can't imagine. I mean, keeping everyone energized and excited about the season. Good passing there from Georgia Tech. Florida State is in a switching man-to-man. We expect a switching man-to-man from Georgia Tech as well. Now, in the first meeting, there was some zone sprinkled in for Florida State, and I thought that helped them get back into that ball game after trailing in the third quarter.
Tough shot underneath, but rebounding her own miss. Morgan Jones gets it out, and then right into the passing lanes. It is Kubai who gets it to McQueen, streaking down the court.
You know how often you and I talk about Lorella Kubai, and despite her being big in size, she is nimble and mobile and agile, and the way that she shot the gap on that steal was a great example.
And then Florida State comes right back. Weber knocking down the shot. Fletcher lost out of bounds momentarily, but it stays with Georgia Tech. Tech coming off a win against Miami on Tuesday afternoon. 3 players scored in double figures, and Lodemay Lautinen, 9.7 rebounds and a career-high 10 assists. Did not shoot the ball well, but played well in other aspects of the game, and that's a good look. Hermosa nails it.
And that's your biggest concern with Georgia Tech, is they have a big lineup that's tough to stop with Nerea Hermosa and Lorella Kubai. They work well together. They're both big bodies, can rebound out of position, and they can really dominate the paint. And even though you look at various aspects of this Georgia Tech team with Fletcher, McQueen's been shooting well from long range, Lodemay Lautinen, it is the 4 and 5 position that really is the identity of Nell Fortner's squad.
Hermosa able to evade the defense by Jackson, but still missed the shot. And then going coast to coast with the finish.
Very good take there by Bianca Jackson, and what a transition year for her. Her first year at Florida State after coming from South Carolina, and had to take over the reins of point guard for the first time in her life, and she's just starting to really settle into the role.
That was a chancy pass, but was deflected out of bounds. Yep, Jackson played her first 2 years at South Carolina, averaged about 6 points per game during her career, was a all-SEC freshman selection, and had to sit out in redshirt last year. And step in and play the point.
The matchup to watch on this end of the floor, Pam, is Sammy Puisis and Lorella Kubai. I mean, Georgia Tech plays big, and Florida State plays small with Puisis at that power forward position. So Lorella Kubai has the height advantage, but Puisis can stretch the floor and shoot the 3 coming off screens. But I think Kubai's pretty good defensively.
All right, that just rolled out. Kubai gets the rebound right. Sammy Puisis at 6'1", Kubai at 6'4". A very interesting matchup, but Puisis not a natural 4, but has been playing that position as Tech gets the bucket to fall by Hermosa.
Yeah, that face-up game of Hermosa has just become more confident as the season has gone on. And River Baldwin is in the game right now for Valencia Myers as the center anchoring. We could see a double big lineup for Florida State as well.
River Baldwin, number 1 in white, could not corral the rebound. Georgia Tech up 9-7 as we take our first time out.
Big matchup in the ACC tonight. It is raining from three-point range so far. Lodemay Lautinen getting it to go, and Weber, our 2 most improved players.
Welcome back. Georgia Tech has hit 4 of its last 6 shots. They have a 2-point lead over Florida State. Florida State trying to avoid being swept by Tech, and this is a little capsule of what happened the first time. Georgia Tech a decided advantage. Boy, look at the rebounds plus free throws as Georgia Tech won for the 3rd straight time in this series.
Yeah, Florida State jumped out to a 22-15 lead in the first quarter, and that was one of Nell's concerns coming into this game, and she feels like her team has had too many slow starts. But, Georgia Tech really turned it up in the third quarter. It was a game where they had 15 second-chance points, and again, plus 22 on the glass. That right there, that's all you need to know about why Georgia Tech won.
So Myers has already checked back in for River Baldwin. Kiara Fletcher brings the ball up for Tech. Lodamai Lawton. And how about Lorella Kubai already has 3 assists for the Yellow Jackets?
Yeah, helping to create some offense. She is very versatile for her size. Can see, can pass it, can score off of the bounce, can shoot the gap, play perimeter defense. She does it all.
All right, Fletcher with a second chance, but couldn't get it to go. Florida State unbeaten at home this year. They won 3 of 4. Kubai also, by the way, 4 rebounds to go along with those 3 assists. Off to a terrific start. Myers underneath lost it. And Fletcher comes away with it.
Good transition defense there by Florida State.
It's Lassiter, who has raised her scoring in the last 4 games during that stretch that they've won 3. And the finish for Courtney Weber.
And that's what Courtney Weber can do. I mean, that was a tough finish. Looked like she took a little contact as well, but she just went right to the rim, got a little bit of hang time. She's more athletic than she may appear. And right here, I mean, she just gets so low on the drive, a little step through and pushed it off of the glass through 2 defenders.
And Brooke Wyckoff is very high praise with Courtney Weber, talks about how she just can look at film and then go out and correct whatever she needs to do next time she hits the court. Loves her work ethic, so she's in the gym all the time. Lawton at the free throw line after being fouled by Jackson.
Yeah, that's something that both of these coaches mentioned when talking about their improved players, and Lodamai Lawton for Georgia Tech and Courtney Weber for Florida State, was just how hard they work. And Nell Fortner mentioned Lawton, who was just at the free throw line, going home and playing with her Finnish national team, and just how she felt like that gave her a boost and worked really hard, and we're seeing the results of that this season.
And also that's got to be a big confidence builder anytime you can play with your international team. Lawton taking her game up another level or 2. Shot clock is winding down now for Florida State. And then a whistle away from the action with 2 seconds left on the shot clock.
And that's Tiana England, who has checked into the game. And when you said the clock is running down, I thought they've got to set up a play. And England's a true point guard. And Brooke Wyckoff just said, you know, when she's in the game, you can kind of relax because she understands the things like time and score as a natural point guard and just has those instincts for the game.
And able to come in and kind of settle them down. There's a push, another flat foul upcoming on Georgia Tech. Tiana England is a grad transfer, from St. John's, where she was absolutely terrific. She was the fastest player there ever to get to 500 assists, but did not play. This is just her 4th game. First game was February 7th at Miami. She had not been medically cleared, but that's got to be just a huge boost for them to have a dependable veteran point guard.
And to have just healthy bodies on the floor. I mentioned that Florida State's had some games this season where they have just been undermanned, not even had enough body to play 5-on-5 in practice if they wanted to.
Yeah, there were some games, as you mentioned, where they only had 8 players available to play. And Brooke Wyckoff told she still wants to be a head coach after kind of jumping into the fire here. But, kind of learn. And she's given her players a lot of credit. She says that they will allow her to make mistakes, and they've just kind of grown together in her new role.
I thought she still talks to Coach Sue here and there. Shout out to Coach Sue, who's in Seattle with her family. We definitely miss you this ACC season. As, you know, Coach Sue's done a nice job of just allowing her to coach the team and take a step back. But she did say there was like a random night, maybe at 11 p.m. She texted her and say, "Hey, what are we doing with Kitley? How are we guarding Elizabeth Kitley?" So Coach Sue is still as competitive and obviously attentive to what's happening in Tallahassee.
Elizabeth Kitley is always, I'm sure, on the mind of a lot of coaches. How do you defend her? Along with Kubai, the only 2 in this league, averaging a double-double. McQueen, good look. Oh, wow. Well, McQueen.
You cannot give McQueen a look at 3. I mean, in the last 4 or 5 games, if you just even let her breathe on the three-point line, it's going in.
She had 12 points with a couple of threes the first time these 2 teams met, getting playing time first when Fletcher was out with a foot injury to start the season, and now with Sarah Bates out with an injury of her own. Baldwin back in the game, working against Kubai. Good old-fashioned post-to-post. The ball stays with Florida State.
Going back to the other end with Loyal McQueen, the defense was kind of sucked in on one side of the floor, anticipating the drive, and McQueen with the spacing. And that's one thing that Georgia Tech can do. They can space the floor. They are without Sarah Bates, who ironically they lost in their first game against Florida State, who was shooting the ball very well from three. But Loyal can shoot it. We mentioned Lodamai Lotman, who right now is actually third in the ACC in three-point field goal percentage. But Florida State, they can shoot the three as well.
So Wally Lassiter dials it up. She was 3 for 3 against Tech the first time these two teams played, as you see. Didn't miss a three-point shot in that game and gets the Noles to within a point. Kubai now working against Baldwin on the other end.
Beautiful move on the interior by Lorella Kubai. We've seen her functioning on the perimeter, but she's also got that low post, low block toughness.
Inside a minute to go in this first quarter. Jackson just shot it over Fletcher and it went in.
That was, what do you do with that? Just elevate it and let it go.
Yeah, it looked like the defense was pretty decent. Lotman gets it over to Kubai, who continues to go right at Baldwin, draws the foul, and gets the bucket.
It's going to be tough to guard Lorella Kubai one-on-one on the block. And if for nothing else, she's really good at creating contact. So here, just quick, uses that dribble all the way to the left side. No one home on help either. You had two Florida State players, but they both look like, I'm not stepping in there. Kubai's a freight train.
Yep. So that foul on Baldwin sends Kubai to the free throw line.
And actually, Lodamai Lotman is fourth in the ACC in three-point field goal percentage at 43%. That's not bad.
Not at all. Her numbers better in ACC games than they were in non-conference games. In fact, Lodamai did not hit a three in their non-conference games. So the shot clock is off now for the Seminoles. Jackson with it winding down, decides to take it herself, and she nailed it over Lotman's outstretched hand. What a first quarter for Bianca Jackson.
We've got a good one in Tallahassee, a one-point game. Bianca Jackson coming down, clock expiring on the pull-up. Welcome back to Tallahassee. Lorella Kubai is leading her team in scoring, rebounding, and assists to start at 6'4". She can find the open man, has no problem using the dribble on the perimeter. Good passing, getting her teammates involved, but then she can use that big frame down low to get position. Right here, you see her on the face-up, taking contact. Now, we all took a deep breath 2 games ago when Lorella Kubai left Georgia Tech's matchup in Louisville after suffering a knee injury. We were wondering if she was going to be okay. Well, she's fine, and she has looked fantastic in her last 2 games, both in a win over Miami and tonight early against the Noles.
Yeah, she looks spectacular. How about that no-look pass, too?
Yeah, and spicy with it.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a foul. Let's see if they count the basket. They do.
This is a lineup that Brooke Wyckoff spoke to us about, as Kubai will pick up this foul, but Savannah Wilkinson is in the game. She missed some time this season with an injury, but Brooke Wyckoff had mentioned going double big, and she considers Wilkinson an option to give her a little bit more toughness when trying to match up against Kubai, and there she gets the foul and gets to the free throw line.
First foul on Kubai. Florida State has hit its last 4 shots. Georgia Tech hit its last 3 to end the first quarter. Jackson had 8 in the first quarter, another rebound for Kubai.
I mean, that jumper of Jackson is true. She will just rise above and doesn't mind taking that shot.
Yeah, she's been well defended, but as you said, able to jump over defenders. Now Kubai, who moves really well to her left, puts it home off glass.
Yeah, that was just a smooth move. I mean, you've got to send a body to Kubai early and force her to run you over, because once you get her to the middle of the paint, she's great at using the glass.
Georgia Tech back on top. Jackson, good defense as Lawton came over to help out, and it forced the turnover.
Another look here, Lawton on the drive, and so Kubai now has a closeout, and she's met by Sammy Puises. Puises not big enough for number 13 in blue, uses the glass and gets it to go.
Kubai getting a rest after a good start to this game. 6 points, 5 boards, 3 assists. Lawton now guarded by Puises. Kubai out of the game, they're a little discombobulated. Some contact, and with just 5 seconds left on the shot clock, there's a Florida State foul.
This will definitely be a game where you have to keep your eyes on the matchups, right? With all the changes in the lineups and who's on the floor, gives you an idea where Nell Fortner or Brooke Wyckoff may look to attack. We talked about Wilkinson, being a little more physical than Sammy Puises at the power forward spot. That was something to look out for. And even in this lineup, Love and Puises are actually more of a straight-up matchup than some of the others that you might see.
Hermosa's lefty hook off the mark.
Valencia Myers looks like she might have taken a hit. Florida State's had a few possessions where they have not gotten good looks. They need to move the ball around and run through their offense a little bit more.
Trying to get it inside to Hermosa, knocked away by Myers. Brooke Wyckoff talked about how difficult it is to play Georgia Tech. Says they can take away every action you try to run, and part of her strategy was to try to find a mismatch one-on-one and score that way. But every coach it seems we talk to, they both admire and don't want to play Georgia Tech.
Yeah. I mean, with all the conversation around Louisville and NC State, and for good reason. I mean, two teams that I believe deserve a number one seed in the NCAA tournament. Georgia Tech has been quietly very good.
And surprisingly so. And remember, they were picked 5th by the coaches, but media members picked them to finish 9th. And right now, Georgia Tech is sitting at the 3 spot, as you see in the ACC standings. And Charlie Cream right now has 8 ACC schools going to the tournament, which ties the SEC for the most. Shot clock at 6. They didn't need 6 because Kubai's back in the game.
And just that quickly, the lineup changed, Pam. We talked about the size of Georgia Tech, and now they're back to double bigs, which allows them to take advantage of that in the post.
And a charge drawn by Fletcher.
Yeah, that's a play where Weber's got to look to kick out. Georgia Tech is one of the best teams in the ACC when it comes to taking the charge. And that was a slow materializing play, enough so that the defense had plenty of time to get there and get set up.
Lawton held off nicely by Jones. And Kubai left open, and she can hit from out there too. Tech up 5, its biggest lead of the game. Morella Kubai already in double figures with 10 points. Almost forced another turnover.
Florida State does not look organized right now, what they're trying to do spacing-wise, or even in terms of execution. on offense.
Martin off the mark, and that's on Kubai. That's going to be 2 on her.
That's big and very important for Florida State to get Lorela Kubai off of the floor. Now they don't have that advantage in the post. I mean, we saw Kubai come in and score a couple of quick ones right on the interior. And now Florida State can focus on getting some quality offensive possession. So what does Brooke Wyckoff do? She puts the true point guard, Tiana England, in the game so she can run some offense.
That's England, number 23 in white, with the ball in her hands. Little jump stop, a little bit too strong. Jones gives him a second chance. And Baldwin hustling. Florida State hangs on to it. Great hustle by River Baldwin, who ran into one of those metal barriers on the sideline.
Florida State has had some looks in the paint. They haven't been able to get to go. And yeah, Baldwin, she'll have some bruises tomorrow. Right in that midsection area.
Shot clock winding down. Desperation shot. Gives the ball back over to Georgia Tech. Looks like Coach Wyckoff is saying it hit the rim. Mai Forsberg, who you see, Pulani Spurlock Welsh, and John Capolino, our officials this evening. Florida State off to a slow start in the second quarter. They've missed 5 of their 6 shots and turned it over 3 times, including that shot clock violation we just saw.
Officials say play on.
Anaya Boyd, number 4 in blue, one of the 4 freshmen that have been getting quite a bit of playing time for Nell Fortner. There she is. Good luck, good result.
Perfectly executed ball screen action by Lodamai Lotman. She draws 2 defenders and gets Boyd streaking to the bucket.
Florida State on an 8-0 run, or excuse me, Georgia Tech on an 8-0 run to take its biggest lead over Florida State. England into Myers, guarded now by Hermosa. A little turnaround, too strong, but the offensive putback by England. Boy, Fletcher drove right into traffic.
Yeah, Fletcher was determined to get there despite Florida State having several defenders right there. She likes to drive right. She's left. She's a very strong driver. And how about Hermosa shooting the gap?
And Nerea Hermosa, who is only a sophomore from Spain, really coming on lately. Had a really good game against Miami on Tuesday. 6 points now in this game after that steal.
When you've got your 6'5" center shooting the gap and getting out for an easy layup, things are going well for the Yellow Jackets. Nerea Hermosa, defense to offense. Yellow Jackets up.
We have a double header for you this evening. Coming up next, it's Dana Evans leading number 3 Louisville against Pitt right here on the ACC Network and the ESPN app. Dana Evans, the ACC Player of the Year last year, trying to make it back-to-back. She's been just doing Dana Evans things all season.
It really has. I mean, if I had to cast my vote today for ACC Player of the Year, it would be Dana Evans. And the reason why, a couple things. She has had to bring along a couple of freshmen who were inserted into the starting lineup and has done a lot of teaching and helping them grow. But also, she's just single-handedly won some late games for Louisville. I mean, her heroics and her shot-making ability late in the clock, late when the game is on the line, has just been tremendous this season. And Louisville's number 1 in the ACC up to this point as Morgan Jones gets one to go. And to me, Dana Evans is the Player of the Year.
And take a look at those numbers. As you said, leading scorer, and every year her three-point shooting has just gotten better and better. She's broken a lot of hearts with some late game heroics, including against Wake Forest earlier this season.
Yeah, and you know, when you look across the league, there's been great seasons by Asia Shepherd and Kitley. And, you know, NC State has got Kunane, but they've also got Jones. I mean, most of those teams either have more depth and consistency in their talent and more experience, or like Kitley and Shepherd, they've got, you know, a 1-2 punch. I don't think Louisville has a consistent 1-2 punch. I think they've got Dana, and that's it.
Yeah.
Everyone else fills in by committee.
And they have a lot of talent. It's a deep team, and you know, Haley Van Lith, one of the best freshmen going. But yeah, it's Dana Evans, who certainly has had a spectacular year. And Hermosa comes up with another big play.
And this is probably what's most impressive about the defense of Georgia Tech, is that their bigs can switch on to perimeter players and stay in front of them getting to the rack.
Georgia Tech, best defensive team in the ACC as far as giving up points. They were 5th best in the country last year in that category. Shot clock again. Boy, it seems like every time down the floor, Florida State's taking a shot with about 5 seconds left on the shot clock.
Taking a contested shot. They've just got to make more passes, move the ball, and it just doesn't look like they have a lot of intent on the offensive end, but it's Boyd who gets it to go for the Yellow Jackets.
Freshman Boyd now with 4 points off the bench. Did not play against Florida State the first time they played, back on January 24th. Another tough shot. Myers, though, able to come away with it. Three-pointer, too strong. Myers again with the offensive board. And from just about the same spot, another miss and another rebound for Hermosa. And Kubai on the bench with 2 fouls for Georgia Tech.
I like to watch McQueen run the point. She's got some bounce to her. She's really shifty, good ball handler, just has an energy about her at that point guard position that sets the tone for the rest of the team.
Boyd, this time, dribbled into Myers and picked up the foul.
Boyd was already kind of stumbling into that shot. If you're Myers, you just play straight up. You know, Brooke Wyckoff mentioned Myers getting into foul trouble the first time these two teams met, and she thought it impacted them. And Myers has really been steady for them on the interior this year.
Myers, though, has just picked up her 2nd personal foul. She's not scored, but does have 6 rebounds. We just saw 2 on the offensive end. Coming up Saturday, we have men's basketball heading your way as Notre Dame takes off Syracuse at the Dome. The Orange have won 2 in a row. Catch it right here on the ACC Network and the ESPN app, as February is winding down.
It is. I heard Nell Fortner earlier today talking on Packer and Durham and talking about today's matchup, and she mentioned that she, in addition to obviously their upperclassmen that are playing well, she felt like, you know, they had a recruiting class that was special too, and Boyd has come into this game and made an impact, number 31 overall recruit. And she and Carter have been able to come in and really hold things for Georgia Tech, especially with Kubai in that foul trouble. And Carter was a top 75 recruit according to ESPN.
Yep. A lot of young talent. Take a look at Aviance Carter. Florida State struggling in this quarter. They have missed 12 of their 15 shots, only scored 16 points, and have, or 6 points, so 6 points and 4 turnovers for the Seminoles in this quarter, but still only down 7, and that's a foul, too much body by Wilkinson. So Hannah Wilkinson is from London. She has already gotten her undergraduate degree, has played number 12 in white with some of Great Britain's teams, national teams. We talked about national experience for Lottanen with Finland. Tech not helping themselves at the line so far. They are now 2 of 6.
Love another one of those players that has had to step up since the loss of Sarah Bates. And I know you like the way she's played as of recent, Pam, especially on the glass. Another very talented freshman.
Yeah, she just really pounded the glass against Miami in their last game on Tuesday. 9 rebounds, 6 of them on the offensive side. So let's see what Florida State can be. This has not been a spectacular quarter, only 6 points for the Noles in the second.
But they're only down 8. You got to be happy with that. As poorly as they shot, feels like they should be down more.
Long shot at the buzzer, just a little bit too strong. Georgia Tech up 8. That is their biggest lead of the game. Kubai with 10 points to lead them. Tech up 8. Time now to go to the studio. Here is Kelsey Riggs. Only 29%, pardon me, is down by 8. Pam Ward along with LaChina Robinson, but we had a couple of good performances starting with Lorella Kubai for Tech.
Yeah, we did. Lorella Kubai got off to a quick start, and it really started with her passing. I mean, she was getting her teammates involved. Here she's going to take it to the rack down low and use that toughness, but Georgia Tech has 8 assists to Florida State's 3, and I think that's a big story of the offense for Georgia Tech and how it just flowed a little bit better. But Kubai is a problem. She got in foul trouble in the first half, so she was limited in action. But when she was in the game, 10 points, 5 rebounds, 3 assists. And then Bianca Jackson got some really good looks and some tough looks and nailed it, honestly, from the mid-range. 8 points, 4 for 9 from the field. I think the toughest thing for Jackson is that she is a natural scorer, but she is in this lineup as the point guard. And I think Brooke Wyckoff needs a little more offense, run, and for them to find better options and better looks against this stingy Yellow Jacket D.
That's what the Yellow Jackets are known for, their defense. And Jackson did have 8 points. However, all of them were in the first quarter. Florida State outscored 13-6 in the second quarter, the quarter in which they only hit 3 of their 17 shots. They missed their last 7 and last 8 of 9 from the floor. But still, they're in this game. They're only down 8.
Yeah, it seems like they should be down more than 8 just with the offensive woes that you described and only shooting 29%. They did out-rebound Georgia Tech, which I think helped them. Charge call there will go the other way, but I think it helped Florida State that Georgia Tech wasn't strong on the offensive glass in the latter part, because Florida State did a good job on their defensive end taking care of rebounds, but they haven't converted on their offensive rebounds for second chance points. As they talked about in studio, ladies' night.
Yep, 12 offensive rebounds for Florida State, but they converted that into only 9 second chance points. Florida State out-rebounded by 22 when they played the end of January. They are plus 10 in that category tonight, but the numbers are not translating into points. Myers with the miss.
And what Georgia Tech has done very well defensively was something that Nell Fortner talked to us about in pregame, is guarding Florida State's ball screens. I mean, they have guarded their ball screen action very well and made the Yellow Jackets shoot over a contested defender.
Kubai doubled, and Puisis almost got the steal, but the kicked ball. Lorella Kubai, what a great first half. Did have to sit about midway through the second quarter with a couple of fouls.
You know what? I thought she did a nice job of maintaining her composure. You could tell she didn't agree with both of those fouls, had some questions for the officials, but you notice how intentional she was about just turning and walking away. And that is growth. That is an area of growth for Kubai in her career, and it's good to see her at that point.
And it helps to have Hermosa, who did pick up some of the slack when Kubai went out. Nerea now with 8 points.
He's kind of the player you forget about. You know, you're worried about the drive with Fletcher and Lotman, and then you're really focused on Kubai. You forget about Hermosa, and she's often the player that you're willing to allow to take that shot.
Sophomore from Spain also has been part of that national program. Lead is 10. And then Kubai, good defense with a little chancy, though, with 2 personal fouls, but it was a block. And you talked about Kubai, and she's very fiery. And we talked to Nell Fortner earlier in the season and talked about how passionate and emotional Kubai is, but she needs to contain that and use it in a positive way.
Yeah. He definitely has learned and has a better understanding as Florida State moved to a zone there defensively, but a good cut by Lodamai Lotman. But you're right, Pam, it has been better for her team that she's been a leader that has been more consistent in her temperament.
She really is, as she's exhibited tonight. Very talented, multi-dimensional player. She is a senior. Remains to be seen whether or not she will decide to come back next year. You think she's a WNBA talent?
I do. I think she should definitely get drafted and get to a training camp, and she would have to prove that what she can do from there. But she got a very unique skill set, and that versatility with size is something that WNBA general managers would appreciate. Good transition D by Georgia Tech.
Jackson with another miss and another rebound for Kubai, who got hit on the way.
Take a look at this defense by Georgia Tech. This is the kind of possession where they don't allow Florida State to take advantage. Right here, Lotman is undersized, but she's going to switch onto Valencia Myers and not allow Myers to catch it. Meanwhile, Kubai is guarding the perimeter. So they've got a perimeter player switching with your post, and then Kubai guards Jackson. I believe that is off of the drive, and so that is a perfect example of Georgia Tech just effective defense on ball screens.
Yeah, a terrific example, as you said, about Kubai, able to pick up the guard, stay with her, or not foul her. And now she's working on Baldwin. She's been chewing her up, but took steps that time. Florida State has yet to score in this quarter. Remember, they only scored 6 in the second quarter. 6 points in 13 minutes, not good. Kubai showing she can bring the ball up a little bit. Fletcher, good look, nailed it.
Fletcher hasn't gotten a lot of just open opportunities today, and you got to credit Florida State for that, especially the possessions where Morgan Jones has been guarding her. She's one of the toughest defenders, and the way she uses her length to guard Lotman and Fletcher. And there's Puisis. They need that.
In a big bad way, that's the first points for Sammy Puisis, and that breaks a huge drought for the Seminoles that extended. They didn't score the last almost 3.5 minutes of the second quarter, and it took them about the same amount of time to score in the third. Lotman using her body well, couldn't get it to go. Baldwin's tied up by who else? Kubai, who puts a little extra activity into the held ball.
A little spicy, Pam.
She is
Kubai's a little spicy.
With the possession arrow, gives it over to Florida State. England back in the game, number 23, getting the ball right now and playing just her 4th game of the season after a really good career at St. John's. She's a Stamford, Connecticut native, coming down to play in Florida. Drives on Hermosa, nice dish off to River Baldwin, but she couldn't get it off cleanly. Fletcher, a little bit out of control, and then the ball dribbles out of bounds. It's Seminole basketball. Lassiter helping to force that turnover.
Well, and there's been almost equal turnovers by both teams. 7 turnovers by Georgia Tech, 8 by Florida State. But Georgia Tech has capitalized on Florida State's 8 turnovers with 11 points. Florida State only 2 off of Georgia Tech's 7. So Tech has just been more effective in how they have scored on the miscues.
Yeah, take advantage of the opportunities. Fletcher gets a break for Tech. Drive by Baldwin, and Kubai cleans up again. She is working on another double-double. Inside, Kubai over Puisis. That is a matchup I think that Lorella will take all night.
Yeah, we heard Coach McGraw talking about that at halftime, and just how tough of a matchup that can be for Puisis, undersized. She is a perimeter player, and you're playing against one of the more powerful players in this league.
England kept it alive momentarily, but Georgia Tech now up 14 as we hit a timeout.
Yeah, Yellow Jackets got it rolling in transition. Kubai on the bust out to McQueen. Gets the defense to bite. Fletcher. 3.
The NCAA Women's Basketball Championship on ESPN.
It's Jackson on the drive for the lead. Got it to go! And that's it. The Baylor Lady Bears are back at the top of college basketball.
The Final Four coming your way. Everything going to take place down in San Antonio. The Charlie Creams bracketology. Take a look at his number 1 and 2 seeds. NC State is a 2. Louisville has a 1. And believe it or not, the regular season in the ACC ends in 10 days. A week from Sunday will be the last day of the regular season in the ACC, so it's all coming. Were you one of the people of China who thought NC State should not have been a 2?
Yeah, I mean, the tough part is this. They beat 2 number 1 teams, but rankings are decided by people. And so it's not always the best indicator when it comes to, figuring out the numbers and, there's the net and all that. My thing is NC State passes the eye test as a 1 seed in addition to those 2 number 1 wins on the road if you want to count the rankings. And I just think the eye test should be a bigger part of selection. I mean, you know a good team when you see them, and NC State checks all the boxes. And it is hard to go on the road and shoot on an opponent's rim and play one of the best teams in the country. Whether you thought they were both number 1 teams or not, they're still 2 of the best teams in the country.
Yep. Winning Louisville and also at South Carolina. One of the 2 losses this year were for NC State. They were without Elisa Cunane. The other loss was to North Carolina. Always a tough rivalry game. And the reveal, we looked at Charlie Cream's projections, and just to the NCAA reveal, which came out earlier this week, also has NC State as a 2 seed.
Well, because if you look at the way that the NCAA values Louisville and South Carolina, they value them as number 1 seeds. So if there's a team that has beat 2 of your number 1 seeds on the road, look at it that way. Take rankings out of it. Those are your 2 1 seeds.
That's right.
So, and if I had a question about any of the 1 seeds, it would not be NC State or South Carolina. That I can tell you for a fact.
So some people were a little surprised me that Baylor was a 3 seed.
Yeah. I thought Baylor was rather low as well. I mean, we've had them a couple of times, and if there's a better defensive team in the country, show them to me.
Georgia Tech is just absolutely rolling now. Florida State has only scored 9 points since the first quarter. And Hermosa now with 10, joining Kubai in double figures for Tech. Georgia Tech not so shabby with the defense either.
No, not at all. And even though it may not come up in the numbers in conference play in terms of field goal percentage defense, I mean, they make you take contested shots. And they also snag a lot of possessions with their rebounding and their steals. And, I mean, they're just physical. By the third quarter, you don't even want to cut. And you're concerned about screens because Georgia Tech has beat you up for 3 quarters.
19-point advantage, the biggest lead of the game as Kubai was just grabbed by Jackson. Georgia Tech coming in 12-5 on the season. 10-4 in the ACC. They have a lot of veterans. We talk about the good job that Nell Fortner and her staff have done, bringing in a nice freshman class, but also when you have that combination, when you have player, like Kubai and Lotman have played together for 3 years, Fletcher is a senior, that certainly helps, and they seem to be blending at the right time. Tomorrow night at 8 Eastern, after Central Michigan Notre Dame women's lacrosse, we'll have our next Bald Men Not on Campus. Jay, Alfonso, and Seth preview the ACC slate of weekend games, and we'll have the latest news from all around the Atlantic Coast Conference. Coming your way tomorrow night at 8 Eastern Time.
Okay, I'm going back to the conversation about defense. One thing that Florida State had done well over their last 4 games, they have held their opponents to 20% shooting from 3. Georgia Tech is shooting 80% from the 3-point line, 4 of 5, and they've got 14 assists. I keep going back to that number. Florida State's got 4, Georgia Tech's got 14. I think that's about Georgia Tech's chemistry and their togetherness, and this is the Florida State team. We saw it against Louisville where they struggled against Syracuse, but they can get lost in their offense.
Finally, a shot falls for Jackson. She had 8 points in the first quarter, and that's the first time she has scored since. Georgia Tech had a 2-game losing streak. They lost to Wake Forest and then at Louisville and then beat Miami on Tuesday afternoon. This is one of those stretches for Georgia Tech where they're playing a lot of games in a condensed time. Hermosa adds another 2 points to her resume this evening. Jackson with a little bit of room. Hermosa gave her a bit of room. She missed, and now Kubai comes up with the rebound, but not a foul call. Fletcher called for the foul, so take away what would have been the 10th rebound of the night for Kubai.
I'm very surprised at this score. Florida State has not lost at home. They are 6-0 this season, and you know, this is your home court. You got to defend it, and you definitely can't let a team come in and get you down 20. I expect to see a little more fight in the fourth quarter.
Shot clock off, the 3 to end it, and that is a perfect way to end the third quarter. They finished the third quarter with 8 points after the 3 was hit by Morgan Jones.
Yeah, Florida State needed a shot in the arm, and hopefully this is the one that gets them going. Morgan Jones as the buzzer expired. 1 more quarter left for the Noles. Tonight when Wake Forest welcomes in the Wolfpack, and we're looking at Gina Conti, guard for Wake Forest, who is the reigning ACC Player of the Week. She averaged 16 points, 5 assists, 5 rebounds to lead the Deacs to a couple of victories last week, including an overtime win against Pitt and a victory at Clemson. And Wake Forest is one of the teams right now projected by Charlie Cream as the last 4 in. A win against NC State would definitely help their case to stay in the field. But it should be a great game tonight and a lot to be celebrated, as Wake Forest is also going to honor former head coach at Wake Forest, Charlene Curtis, who was my head coach at Wake and was the first black head coach in the ACC for women's basketball. So in honor of Black History Month, I think it's awesome that they are going to honor and recognize Coach Curtis. And she did coach 7 seasons at Wake. And she'll be honored. She also is being honored during the Pink Game. She's a cancer survivor, so that's awesome as well.
Yeah, many things to celebrate for Charlene Curtis. And you see the drop line, all 7 teams that she coached at a 100% graduation rate. That means you got your degree at Wake Forest, correct?
Barely got out, Pam, you know. Just barely got out. But no, it just...
An academic institution.
We didn't win a ton of games, but Coach Curtis always made sure that we were growing and maturing as young women in our lives and being educated about the world. We always took trips when we were on the road to see different museums and have educational experiences. So I'm very grateful to have had the opportunity to play for a black head coach and, you know, someone that I could see in a leadership position and aspire to be.
That is LaChina Robinson. I'm Pam Ward joining you. This is a game in Tallahassee. Florida State trailing 48-32 to Georgia Tech. Florida State only trailed by 1 after the first quarter, but then only scored 14 points between the second and third. And that has put them in this big, deep hole. Good defense on Fletcher. Ball stays with Georgia Tech.
Yeah, I like the energy of Florida State coming out of that break. We talked about the shot by Morgan Jones, and they've come out looking very inspired and energetic, and that's what they've needed, just a boost of energy, it feels like, in this game. Georgia Tech's been the aggressor.
Inside, count it. Aaliyah Love took quite a bit of contact. Hold on to her head a little bit, the freshman from Kansas City, Kansas.
That's one tough freshman, has had to play multiple positions this season, 3 and 4, cuts to the basket here. And Jones absolutely got her on the head, but she focused, finished, followed through.
One of that part of that freshman class that Nell Fortner is so excited about. Loves Love. Says she's so versatile, as you mentioned. She can play a lot of different positions. Gets the three-point play. She's got good size. Started a couple of games this year.
And when Georgia Tech gets Bates back, yeah, when Georgia Tech gets Bates back, they'll be even stronger because of the time that Love got to spend on the floor as they were one player down.
Well, that's what happens with injuries. Sarah Bates, again, has not played since the Florida State game. Sprained her ankle in the second quarter on January the 24th. Coach Fortner is hopeful that she will be able to come back and play a week from tonight when they go to North Carolina. She said that has always been the timetable for Sarah. And when you look at Sarah's numbers, 7 points a game, but Nell Fortner says what they miss with Bates out there is her defensive presence more than anything.
And she takes care of the ball, makes good decisions, can spread the floor. Just a solid, consistent, dependable guard in the backcourt.
And Myers fouled Kubai, and right afterwards, see Kubai straightening her bun a little bit. A little bun interference on that foul by Myers, who now has 4. But, this Georgia Tech team they're going to be tough. All but certain to make the NCAA tournament, where they have not been since 2014. Shot clock winding down. They need something to happen, and there was a travel. So the ball goes back over to Florida State. Georgia Tech, if they hang on to win tonight, will have 11 wins in the conference, the most they've ever had. 12 wins back in the 2011-2012 season when they got to the Sweet 16. And boy, Nell Fortner, and you asked her today about, did you think this would happen so early in the second year? And I don't think she did.
No, I mean, she said, even today when watching her on Packer and Durham, she said she knew what she had returning, but didn't know, what she had, until you get into the gym with players, you don't really know. And then she feels like the freshmen she's added have given them even another dimension.
And Myers has just fouled out.
That's not good when you have to fight against the two bigs of Georgia Tech. But Pam, you know as well as I do, freshmen don't have to be dependable, but Georgia Tech's have been dependable enough.
They certainly have. So it's 51-32 in favor of Tech. We take a timeout in Tallahassee. That's okay.
Here we go.
And a slam.
Big time.
March 3rd is fast approaching for championship week. Pam Ward, DeShana Robinson joining you here, where Georgia Tech has just been laying it on Florida State. Georgia Tech shooting 57% for the game. And how about Florida State? They hit 7 field goals in the first quarter, only 7 field goals in total since.
Yeah, offense has been hard to come by. They haven't been able to hit shots. Georgia Tech has taken them out of rhythm and made them shoot contested shots. It just hasn't been a lot of flow to Florida State's offense, and Georgia Tech's making them pay.
Oh boy, Myers out of the game, and right away you could tell Kubai wanted to take it to Baldwin, but instead they called Kubai for the offensive foul. And there you see the numbers.
Yeah, the shooting slump that Florida State has been in, that's just incredible. I mean, they looked very good early out of the gates, but even the shots they were making early were contested. I mean, you and I commented, you know, Jackson on the rise and fires. I mean, they were still tough, and there were so many buckets in the paint that they weren't converting on, and Georgia Tech was contesting everything around the rim.
The numbers in the paint, just about any number you can think of is in Georgia Tech's favor, as you might imagine. They've closed the rebounding gap. Florida State now only out-rebounding Georgia Tech by 3. That last foul was on Aaliyah Love, a freshman for the Jackets.
Only one free throw for Florida State, a team that I feel like when they get some pace going to their game, you know, they can be explosive. And they have players that can get to the rim and make plays. And I think that's been one issue as well, is they've had to play against a set defense all night and haven't gotten a lot of transition opportunities. And when they have gotten out on the run, Georgia Tech's gotten back in transition defense.
There's one of the few relatively easy buckets they've been able to get all night. Tiana England with her second basket of the evening. Florida State on average about 13 points per game coming from the free throw line, but as China mentioned, they've only gone there once tonight and missed it. Lorella Kubai has been sitting on 9 rebounds since the second quarter. Calling for the ball from Lottman, shooting it from the outside and hitting it.
He said, "What rebound, Pam? What rebound?"
Yeah, you got to miss it to rebound it, right? I mean, she has just been he's vocal, calling for the basketball, wanted it, I think, that entire possession, and hit the jumper. And then she gets tied up with Baldwin. No foul call.
We could probably go back throughout Kubai's career, the number of times the announcer said, and she gets tied up with, she gets tied up pretty often.
Yeah, there's a lot of activity around number 13. She's having one heck of a season, again, averaging a double-double. And that's a walk. Kubai tonight, 14 points, 9 boards. Hermosa, 12 points and 8 rebounds. McQueen gets it over to Kubai.
Look at the pace.
Hermosa who's posting up.
They will wait for their bigs to get position. They will move the ball around and wait for you to make a mistake on defense or for them to get enough space to get a shot off. That's probably what sets Georgia Tech apart from a lot of teams in the ACC, is their level of patience in getting the right shot for them.
Yeah, they never seem to be in a hurry, do they? And
they don't get rattled.
By Fletcher. Yeah, they're just poised. Just the poise they have. Again, a lot of upperclassmen out there. Fletcher, Lottman, Kubai. Wilkinson hit the shot. The Brit.
They're posting up Kubai against Puisis. There's the double.
Yep, Wilkinson comes over to help. One takes it to the basket, a little bit too strong. Ball is tipped out. Kubai, another collision.
Another collision. Hopefully everybody's okay.
Yeah, that's a finish for Weber. Yeah, there's a lot of physicalness going on out there. Physicality. As we approach 4 minutes to go in the game.
Crowd getting into it. This may be the first time we've heard all season the crowd at a women's basketball game getting into it. That's like music to my ears here in Gold Knolls.
Welcome back to Tallahassee. Georgia Tech has been in control since about midway through the second quarter, leading Florida State 55-38. Puisis with a foul right before we went to break, and that puts Kiara Fletcher on the line. Missed first few games of the season, had a preseason injury, hurt her foot, came back on New Year's Eve, and since then has just been a mainstay in this lineup for this Tech team.
And talking to Nell Fortner, she said, you know, that's one thing. The one thing I love about Kiara Fletcher is the one thing that she's had to kind of work on is that she's got 1 year. And I love that because she just goes hard all the time, always aggressive. But I do understand being able to pull it back some. And once again, Florida State was unable to take advantage of that switch. Lodemai Lotman was on the post again. I mean, you just got to ask for the ball. River Baldwin gets it to go, but I mean, that's just a pride thing for post players. Like, guard, don't come down here and think that you're going to defend me and keep me from getting the basketball.
Yeah.
Like, that's not happening.
And River Baldwin getting that shot in now because Valencia Myers has fouled out for Florida State. Again, good offense run, but Lotman runs into Baldwin, who draws the charge.
Shout out to our wonderful stats guy, Ed, who said to us in the last break that Georgia Tech has assisted on 74% of their field goals made. That's quite a number. Great percentage.
And 5 players have at least 3 assists. That's statman Ed Svita, Philadelphia's pride and joy, helping us out this evening.
Pride and joy.
Yeah.
Oh, Ed,
Not to
you
be
got
proud
a
of
big
Philly.
timer working with us tonight, huh?
Oh, yeah. He's, he's Joe Buck's guy in the NFL. He's big time.
You must be cheering for Pitt tonight in the ACC women's basketball lineup.
Proud Villanova grad. I think I have to get that in since he can't.
Harry Coretta.
Yeah. Men's team's done some things, certainly. Get some national championship action. Florida State, nice. That's Wilkinson, yeah. Missed those 5 games that you mentioned earlier because of the foot. Came back a couple weeks ago against Wake Forest. Kubai taking Wilkinson, then they kick it back out. Kubai wants it right back. Shot clock is winding down for one of the few times recently for Tech. Fletcher took it, short. Shot clock violation.
Yeah, that was a possession where Fletcher didn't necessarily make the right play. Went in and tried to shoot over the defense. Maybe waited a little too long to look for the scoring option. Nell looked like she wanted Kubai to do something different there.
Yes, and let Lorella know that. And there's a shot, another one that falls for Jackson. Got off to a fast start, just like her teammates. Again, 8 points in the first quarter. Just 4 since. And just to remind you, this is a nice little matchup to watch, isn't it? Dana Evans, Jayla Everett for Pitt against the ACC Player of the Year, coming up at the top of the hour right here on the ACC Network.
Yeah, Jayla Everett, Daishanette Harris. One of my favorite backcourts in the ACC. Pitt coming off of a win over Boston College. Always good coming off of a win when you got to face the Cards.
That will not be the case for Florida State on Sunday.
No, they definitely have some regrouping to do, and they're getting ready to face another challenging defensive team in Louisville who likes to play off of their defense in transition.
Florida State on Sunday on the 4 o'clock will play Louisville, then they go to Notre Dame, finish up with Wake Forest before the ACC tournament starts on March the 3rd. Foul on McQueen, her second. This is Serwani Lassiter. Sat out last year with a knee injury. Kubai still can't get that 10th rebound. Got a hand on it, but couldn't gather it in. And coming into this game, Lachana, you were focusing on Courtney Weber and Lodamai Lahtinen, two of your most improved player candidates. What's your report card on them tonight?
The numbers aren't going to blow you away. Lahtinen 2 for 9 from the field. Weber 3 of 13, but had 5 rebounds. Not a great night for either one of them. Yet and still, when you look at the player that they were last year to the player that they've been consistently this season, I definitely stand by the most improved award coming from either one of those two players. And Elizabeth Dixon would also be in the conversation for most improved, the Louisville Cardinal forward, who just looks like a different player this year, even if it's in small doses. We've just seen a better finisher, a more confident player. For what Jeff Walls has shared with us, a harder worker.
It's funny how that seems to go hand in hand when you talk to coaches about the players. Lahtinen, as you mentioned earlier in the game, went back to Finland when everything shut down last March here in the United States and really worldwide pretty much because of COVID, and was able to play and practice with her national team and made that commitment. Hey, I want to be great, and she certainly has taken her game to another level in this her junior season.
And as you and I talked about previously, this was a tough year to be most improved because no one had a typical off season. You know, either you didn't have a weight room, you didn't have a gym, you know, you couldn't, because of COVID, everyone was restricted. And while I'm on this point, I just want to say this. I thought about this today while looking at, I believe it was Savannah Wilkinson, and thinking about her injury last season, this season. You know, I'm really happy that this is going to be a forgiveness year in NCAA, because there are a lot of players that didn't have a chance to rehab properly once last season ended. They were either sent home or had to go somewhere, but long story short, if you were injured when the season ended last season, you didn't have access to training facilities and to, you know, your athletic trainer and things that may have helped you to recover better and be ready for the season. So, you know, that's something that I think is important to acknowledge, and glad that they'll get a chance to do it again if they'd like.
Yeah, I certainly hope everything will be back to at least close to normal next year. A 21-point lead whittled down to single digits momentarily until Hermosa hit that shot.
And Florida State has fought back into this. I mean, they were down 21 points at one point in this game. And so for them to get it even within one possession of single digits, they've kind of had to scratch and claw. The one thing Nell did tell us from their previous game was how hard it is to hold on to a lead, especially when you have a larger lead early in the game.
Florida State with just 48 points tonight, their season low. They scored 53 in a game at Miami. That was the one that they lost. They split 2 with Miami, and McQueen goes to the free throw line. Florida State hosts Louisville on Sunday. Georgia Tech's road. They go to Boston College, then North Carolina, and finish up at home against Pitt. North Carolina in that big game tonight against Clemson. According to Charlie Cream, whoever loses that game will fall out of the field. North Carolina right now up 12 in the final seconds of the second quarter. NC State leading Wake Forest by 13 at the half. A combination inside, we figured Florida State would not have the advantage, and for Georgia Tech, Kubai and Hermosa combining, how about this, 28 points, 17 rebounds, 6 assists, 3 steals, and 3 blocks. Good job by the Italian and the Spaniard, respectively.
Yeah, they've gone to work, and they've been able to maintain and hold Florida State at bay on their home court, where they were undefeated coming into this, 6-0.
Kubai and Hermosa also combined 14 from 19 from the floor. Just a very impressive performance.
Yeah, they weren't missing very many buckets, and a lot of that has to do with their versatility. How many times did you see them, make the eye cut on a drive and shoot the face-up shot, or, have to take the ball from outside of the paint to the rim off of the dribble? Just both of them have a skill set that's impressive when you add it to their size and toughness.
Fletcher's foul sends River Baldwin to the line. Florida State has scored 18 points in this quarter. That is their highest scoring quarter of the game. Again, combining for only 14 points between the second and third quarters, and that's pretty much when this game was decided. Baldwin missed them both. Kubai gets her 10th rebound. Tech has called a 30-second timeout. LaChina Robinson. Kubai with her 10th double-double of the season.
Oh, you look like a guard in your day. We got a lot of guards in studio with Coach McGraw and Kelly and Monica, and then we've got a guard in Jen Hildreth and Debbie Antonelli. Kelsey looked like if she played, she was a guard. But when you look at the bigs in the ACC, Kubai, Cunane, Cardoso, Kitley, the list goes on and on. We've got some very special post players in this league, and they could be the deciding factors down the stretch as to who wins the ACC tournament. I just really believe in the big man game in the ACC.
And a foul from behind on Fletcher for some reason with just under 30 seconds left to go. The year of the big girl in the ACC.
That's all I'm saying.
Is big girl okay?
Yeah, okay.
Okay, thank you.
Oh, go ahead. Forgot Janelle Bailey, but you can go ahead.
Janelle Bailey's all right. Yeah.
But she's considered a big girl. That's the only thing is I don't see her as because size-wise, not as big as the list you just named.
All right, I'm going to do a softball promo because tomorrow we'll have the second game of the series between Florida State and Georgia Tech. Coverage starts at 1 Eastern right here on the ACC Network and the ESPN app. Florida State, Lonnie Alameda, one of the best coaches going, always has a stout squad. And I tell you what, God bless all those softball and baseball players out there playing in some of this weather. I mean, it has been brutal, and of course we still feel so much for what's been going on around Texas and Oklahoma. We're seeing things. SEC is having to postpone basketball games because the travel, even around like Louisiana. I know LSU, Kentucky can't play. It's just been an unbelievable last week or so.
I mean, sending our thoughts and prayers to everyone that's been impacted by this weather, in particular the state of Texas. I don't think I realized how bad things were, but seeing some of the pipes bursting and people that have been in their homes without power or heat for days, it's just heartbreaking.
Yep, and without water now in some cases because of the problem with the water lines, but it's been relentless. With basketball, a nice diversion. Georgia Tech going to come away with its 13th win of the season. Kubai with another double-double. She and Hermosa, the two big ones, coming up and combining for a nice game. And let's take a look at some of the numbers for Georgia Tech. Known for their defense. Florida State shooting just 32% from the floor tonight.
They have definitely made Florida State uncomfortable. You saw Muriel Page in the frame there, who's been imparting her wisdom on the post
she
players.
She made some people uncomfortable, didn't she?
Yeah, she did make some people uncomfortable.
She played for Carol Ross down in the University of Florida. Long career in the WNBA. and now is on Nell Fortner's staff. Tasha Butts, Blanche Alderson there as well, and of course the chief of staff, Mickey DeMoss.
Can't do anything if you don't have the chief with you.
No,
you know.
you need a COS on your staff. Georgia Tech shot 57% for the game, 61% in the second half as they beat Florida State for the second time this year, and they hold Florida State to a season low 48 points, make it 4 straight wins. Coach Nell even has a nice smile over there. A nice win for Georgia Tech as Florida State falls at home for the first time this year.
Yeah, Georgia Tech just did a nice job of controlling pace, making it a half-court game where they could use their bigs. I mean, they were just tougher, and Florida State did fight back, but Georgia Tech is having, once again, every time we watch them play, we say they're having a great season.
Hermosa and Akubai, 14 points apiece as Georgia Tech wins it 62-48. Fletcher out at 11 for Tech. For LaChina Robinson, our entire outstanding crew down in Tallahassee, I'm Pam Woods. We say so long.